And would judges be familiar with the content, with the suite beforehand, or are they hearing it for the first time usually?
They hear it for the first time, yeah, for sure. The only thing is in Brest for the first competition, you have to submit tunes from a certain area in Brittany. So it's a certain style of tune or certain dances or melodies that you can hear. So everyone is focusing on a specific tunes from Breton music,
No,
but Lorient is free. It's completely free.
okay, and those would all be traditional
Mostly,
content?
mostly traditional, but I'd say that when it's composed, it would have to sound traditional in a certain way.
Right.
So if it's a new tune composed last year, for example, you have judges to check if this tune is quite suitable for this particular area. So it's a bit hard to judge, but Breton music is around the dance first. So unlike Scottish music, we almost always play for dancers. So you really have a dancer would be able to dance on any tune you play. So you have to respect the tempo, accents, and everything.
And so you wouldn't, a bagad coming out with a jazz interpretation of something wouldn't go over well.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because Lorient technically would be free. So you could submit whatever you want, but unless you would sound Breton in some way, so you couldn't submit a jazz or contemporary musical suite, I guess. But if I get an example, that would be Bagad Briek, who they always try to think outside the box a bit. So they try to do very original pieces and almost jazzy or rock pieces sometimes. But sometimes it's well received. They were Bagad champions in 2007, so it can happen.
So, you know, pipe band players kind of who are familiar with the bagad scene, they often talk about, we should be more like them. We should have our competitions more like, the 10-minute suites and 15 judges. And, what are your thoughts around that?
It's interesting. It's a good debate, but personally, I may be seen as a traditionalist, maybe, because I quite, for some reason, I quite like this balance in the pipe band scene between MSRs and medley, because it's just, for me, it's just an opinion, but for me, a pipe band would be working in a circle is quite the essence of a pipe band for me. So it's quite hard for me to distinguish this circle formation and a pipe band, an actual pipe band. So I kind of like this format, but it's maybe because I come from the bagad world also. But I quite like that. The only thing I don't like with the pipe bands sometimes is the tunes for MSRs, just because we can hear the same tunes going again and again, and that's a weird thing. That's the only thing I would change, actually. There's enough marches, Straspace and reels. There's new Straspace composed every day, so there must be something we could do about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. And tell us what the typical kind of bagad member, bombard player, piper, drummer, what do they generally think about pipe bands? Or do they think they're great, or do they kind of scratch their head and think, I would never want to play in one of those things? Or like, what's the general kind of sort of attitude?
Generally speaking, but it's probably a stereotype. But generally speaking, Scottish music is seen here as very straight, almost military influenced. So it's maybe because we can hear the same tune. It's probably it's linked to what we said before, I guess. It's probably because we can hear Island Wedding 20 times a day as a world, and many guys here can't understand that actually. They they they, they just can't understand that. But at the same time, they are very impressed with the unison and drone chanter sound ensemble that a pipe band can create. So so I wouldn't change everything with the pipe band world for sure. It's a interesting, very interesting scene. But I'm pretty sure we can meet halfway. Um, Breton pipers can learn more about Scottish music and can see that it's not so straight. It's very interesting, very subtle, but at the same time, yeah, it's more about new tunes, I guess.
Yeah, it's always interesting to us. It's there's a great tradition of Breton-based pipers. Patrick Mullard,
Yeah,
Jacques Ponce,
Jackie Ponce,
uh,
yeah,
Erwin Ropers.
Iran
Um,
Ropas, yeah,
it's always interesting to us that Brittany is so close to Scotland. It's
I know.
compared to Canada or New Zealand or Australia. It's right around the corner. But
Yeah,
there's so few Breton pipers and drummers who seem to be interested in playing with a Scottish pipe band.
well, more and more, I guess. But yeah, I know you're right. It's I'm always driving my car when I go to Scotland, so it's quite. It's really the ferry is just there, so you just have to drive to Glasgow. It's 7 hours and you're there. But I guess that there's the language first. My English is not very good, so as you can hear, so it's the same for many guys here in Italy. So there's that first, and also maybe because they're not they don't know properly how to play Scottish music. Actually, there's a lack of understanding and Scottish music rudiments teaching here in Brittany. So it's coming, it's getting there, but it's not there quite. So Breton pipers have to understand that you're playing Scottish bagpipes, and most of the time, which is good. Bagad bands has their own piping schools, which is perfect, but they are learning Breton music first. But
Mm.
it's hard to make them understand that they're playing Highland pipes first, and they can adapt their Highland pipes to Breton music afterwards. But they have to start with Scottish music, of course.
Hmm. So very interesting. Yeah. So I just want to kind of wrap it up, but let's go back to the music, the recording projects. Are you looking at additional videos coming up? You must have another album already planned out. What can we look forward to?
It's a bit too early for a next album, but yeah, there's definitely many tunes going around. So maybe a next album soon. But first, a few videos. I think maybe with piping live. Actually, it's just talks for now. But I'm pretty sure they look to do piping live a bit different this year, obviously. So we might record a few videos for piping live this year, and yeah, I think more projects coming with Sylvain and Antoine, all the guys. Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to those. And the business, you're into Ilian pipes as well.
Yeah.
And any
So
plans for bombards coming down the road?
maybe it's a bit early to say, but yeah, maybe in the future. I still have to do the half sets and full sets for Ion pipes, so I'm quite. It takes a lot of time to experiment that right now, basically.
Yeah. Well, as always, Xavier, you've got all kinds of projects on the go. It's extraordinary everything you've basically taught yourself to do, and I think you're what would be referred to in English as a polymath, someone who's excels at all kinds of different things.
Oh, I try.
It's amazing stuff, and really appreciate the time. Talking
Thanks.
to everyone with pipes, drums, and
Thank you.
we'll look forward to whatever is coming up, and
Sure.
because it's always seems to be really good and interesting.
Thanks again. Thanks very much.